Warning, this video contains very bad mathematics.
2 times 10 equals 20.
Do you notice anything strange about what you can see on the screen right now? It's not just that one arm is longer than the other. It's not just that the eye patch doesn't appear to be covering the number block's eye. It's not even that this was clearly generated using artificial intelligence. I'm more interested in the fact that this is meant to be showing 20 number blocks when, in actuality, it shows 14. Oh, snipe snap, you might think. You're being silly. This video got 99,000 views in one day. There's no way that they would get basic maths like that wrong. The blocks are just under the hat. Keep watching the video and you'll see. Did he just pull that sword out of his you-know-where? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Let's continue the video.
3 times 10 equals 30.
This is AI nightmare fuel, is it not? You first got to take into account those scream-like faces in the background. It's almost like this crowd has realized that they're living in an AI video hellscape from which there's no escape. And then, with this being number blocks, a show literally designed to teach kids basic maths, we should check that this is showing 30 blocks. Spoiler alert, it isn't. I counts 4 rows across, 9 blocks up, which makes 36 blocks. We can then see that there's another layer of squares behind. So we double our 36 blocks, which gives us 72 blocks. Maybe they'll get the next answer right?
4 times 10 equals 40.
So 40 is Mexican now, I guess? Because of course he is. I counts 4 rows across, 9 blocks up, which makes 36 blocks. There's 3 layers of these 36 blocks. 36 times 3 equals 108. The answer is meant to be 40, so this isn't even close. Oh AI, I'll be so much more worried about you taking over the world when you can learn to count. And yet, there is worse number block slop on YouTube. And no, I'm not kidding. May I present to you Number Blix. Number Blix, 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 Number Blix. You thought the first video was bad? Oh my days, you ain't seen nothing, and I mean nothing, yet. Just have to say, I absolutely love the massive subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner to cover up the AI studio that was used to create this. You couldn't even be bothered with a blur. My words. On the subject of subscribing, hit subscribe to me for more Number Blocks lore. Thank you, back to the video.
One is fun, a happy sun, spinning round the globe we've begun. 2
You'll notice that the lyrics correspond in absolutely no way to the video you're seeing on the screen. The song is about number 3, for now at least, and yet on the screen we can see a 1, a 2, a 4 and a nameless number.
4 is bold, oh strong and spry, stack them up, we're reaching high.
If you make that monochrome, add a strobe light and some scary music, that is something out of a horror movie, I swear to God.
The number box jump, let's leap and twirl, building up our number world. Side by side we climb the lane.
That's a new number. That's a mix of 6 and 7. Sixven, or no, I'm not going to say that one, actually. But it is interesting, isn't it? The lazy person who made these videos actually just put number blocks into their AI prompt without bothering to tell them that number blocks actually has official characters. The creator hasn't even attempted to try to get something resembling the original characters. Rather, they've just got literal blocks with numbers on. And the AI generator is so basic and stupid that it can't even keep the numbers consistent or even do real numbers. This channel is called Oxcos Cartoons. It has over 30,000 subscribers. They promise to educate young audiences, and because they're focusing on number blocks, a show that I love, I've decided to take this channel and these videos somewhat personally. Oxcos Cartoons, I'll be back later in the video. For now though, let's return to the original video, Mr. 99,000 views in one day. Will they finally, and I mean finally, do math right?
5 times 10 equals...
Okay, let's look past the really weird eyebrow situation going on there and count. 5 blocks across, 10 blocks up, 5 times 10 makes 50 cubed, and there's just one layer. Oh my god, they've actually got it right! This is the first time in the video, apart from the very first one, which is 1 times 10, which they managed to get to 10 cubes, as you can see on the screen, that they actually managed to get correct. So, if you're learning the 10 times table from this video, you will in fact know that 1 times 10 is 10, and 5 times 10 is 50. I guess that's something. The other ones, if you actually bother to count the blocks, might be a little bit confusing. But hey ho, almost 100,000 views in one day. And now, by the way, over 350,000 views. Trust me, I understand Numberbox, why you can't be bothered to check. You're absolutely killing it with those viewers, and that's level of effort. The problematic thing is though, this video, it ain't a one-off either. This video, posted 1 month ago, has over 80,000 views. Another one has over 400,000 views, and they even get it wrong in the thumbnail. This shows that no one gives a crap about accuracy anymore on YouTube, doesn't it? They couldn't even be bothered to get the thumbnail image correct, and they still managed to get nearly 500,000 views on their video. Almost 500,000 people have watched that video. Holy cow! At least the Numberbox videos are better than the Oxcos Cartoons videos. I mean, they really are the bottom of the barrel.
Something number block stats. Here comes number block 6.
What is that symbol? Honestly, this is so lazy. This is actually so much worse than BMO and even other AI slop channels, because this is actually misleading for kids. You know, a 3-year-old might not know the difference between this video and a real Numberblocks video. A 3-year-old sees the word Numberblocks and clicks on the video. It's that simple. This video, called Meet the Numberblocks, is a story video. How exciting!
1-1. Hello, I'm 1. I like to do things all by myself. I can hop, I can run, and I love to have fun. Have kids jump once.
2 things here. I like Tine, T-I-N-E, to do things by myself. And then we've got have kids jump once. I'm assuming that's part of the prompt that somehow made its way into the actual video. And hilariously, on the next part of the video, the kids don't jump, they don't even move.
Have kids jump once. 2. Hi there, I'm 2.
And no movement was detected on that day. So yeah, another absolutely pathetic video. Let's watch one more video from that channel because I literally can't take any more than that. This is Numberblocks, the little block who could.
Blocks, the little block who could. 4 was always a square, and he loved it. He was strong, steady, and never wobbled.
Who is this kid? He doesn't look like Numberblock 4 at all in any way. Also, he's not a square. Seriously, what am I watching? Oh my god, Lucky, we need to rethink our lives.
But deep down, he sometimes wished he could be something more. One day, while playing with the other numbers, 4 watched as 6 became 2 3s, 8 became 2 4s, and even 9 rearranged himself into different shapes.
This is rubbish, isn't it? And the views are so low. I seriously don't know how they've managed to get over 30,000 subscribers. Something ain't adding up. Despite these low views, YouTube's algorithm is benefiting and favouring the high saturation AI-generated content. It's interesting though, because YouTube said that they were going to be restricting AI channels. Yet, both of the channels we've looked at today are monetized channels. And as long as the views are high, which for Numberbox, let's be honest, they very much are, they're going to keep pumping out this stuff straight into our feeds. And yet, I did manage to find one Numberbox AI channel that is actually kinda good. I know, there's a lot of hate towards AI at the moment, but I really got something out of this channel, and I have a feeling that you might too. So, together, let's check it out. Firstly, the song absolutely slaps. I also like how the music changes to reflect the character's personality. I like the designs of the characters. It's similar to Numberbox, but taking inspiration and not just copying directly. This is a good vibe. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Look, I'm not anti-clanker. I've always said that AI can be used in a creative way. This video is AI generated, but definitely human edited. The music is so well curated too. It really fits with the characters. So let's do one more video from Numberblocks Viet Pro, our new favorite AI channel. It will help cleanse ourselves of that disgusting slop that we had to witness from Oxcos cartoons just a few short minutes ago. Yes, I'm having nightmares tonight. Moving swiftly on. 17 is playing football. I like football. I like this video even more now. 18 looks pretty cool. I like that color palette. I like that a lot, actually. Oh, and then we've got a little bit of 19 with a big mouth. These designs are actually so fire, I swear. That's so cool. It's showing different ways to make 20. You see, that's how you teach maths on YouTube. You make it educational and entertaining. See, it is possible. It's so much better than the Slop channel and so much better than Numberblix. For my video today, I used PixArt Pro to design my thumbnail. If you want up to 61% off, which is a massive discount, then please check out the description box for my special link. Thank you, it really supports the channel. I'm Snipe Snap, he's Lucky, we'll see you soon. Snipe, Snap, out.
First, I'm gonna kill you. And then, I'm gonna take a flamethrower to humanity!
Thomas Paggy, Mio here, and Kiddo here to tell you that we're once again talking about YouTube's new age verification AI.
Its many flaws and many inconsistencies.
And how it's effectively a flamethrower to light a candle by hurting more channels than it should and protecting other channels that it shouldn't.
August 13th rolled around and, look, our account is not restricted. They know that we are not under 18.
At least for now, as they roll out this whole age verification thing, things hypothetically could change, in which case that'd be bad news. But more bad news is that other people were not so lucky.
And this very well might have a worse effect on our channels than we thought it would.
You see, when they think that you're under 18, you are locked into restricted mode, and you can only verify that you're over 18 by putting in your whole ID and everything. Nobody likes that, but we'll talk about that later. But in restricted mode, you lose quite a few features.
It turns out there are several creator limitations, as some people have heard, like you can't live stream or upload shorts as much, and you can't be monetized and other bad things like that. But if you're just a viewer, it affects you too.
You cannot comment on videos. You cannot access community posts or the community post tab. You cannot watch live streams, and many videos will be hidden from you.
That's where our channels were hit the hardest. It turns out quite a bit of our content is now invisible if you are marked as under 18.
When you're not in restricted mode, look at this whole plethora of wonderful content that's extremely well edited. And has many funny moments, and if I do say so myself, some of the best content on YouTube.
I think it's perfect.
However, if you turn on restricted mode, there's just a wasteland left.
On Miyokito Toons in particular, they wiped out like half of our content. Half of it is gone, invisible, like it was never there.
On Miyokito TV, literally half of the content is gone, for no particular reason. On Miyokito Gaming, it's all gone, except for one short.
With previous age restriction content things, YouTube made it so that you could see the video, but if you clicked on it, it would give you a warning and say that you're either about to watch something that is age restricted or ask you to sign in to verify your age. With this new rollout, whatever the AI determined was possibly not good to be watched in repetition or not good in general for under 18-year-olds, it will just hide them like they were never there.
And this is unfair to creators for a number of reasons. YouTube doesn't tell you that your videos are restricted, and you have to go check this yourself by turning on restricted mode.
And they don't tell you why your videos are restricted, and you can't appeal anything, and you don't know what set off the AI, so you can't change your future videos.
They remove videos at seemingly random. For instance, oh, this video over here, I can see maybe why this would be considered a little bit edgy, too mature perhaps, but all of a sudden they leave the Sprunky video that has content like this in it.
Nice.
And we and many others do not have direct contact with a YouTube representative because we don't have a 100,000 subs.
Funnily enough, a most recent video that uses a bunch of adult words like politics, taxes, and jobs to go tell the AI overlords that we are in fact not under 18 is still available to people who are under 18. Please, YouTube, make it make sense.
This is rather strange for our channel in particular because we consider ourselves very family friendly. We don't cover content that is too bad, we censor things, and we never curse. But maybe some of the subjects are too weird, I guess? Wait a second! Miyokito TV, it's just movie reviews!
But we're not the only channel affected. We consider ourselves family-friendly, but there are other family-friendly channels who are even more family-friendly who are also being hit with this. Team Edge, for example. Anything that involves the word shoot or weapon for some reason gets taken down.
Dope. That channel, pretty family-friendly. We enjoy watching it. Just random videos are gone. No rhyme or reason. For some reason, this video's gone, and this video's gone. But this one remains.
Dude Perfect, also pretty random. One Strongest Dude video is gone, but the other one that they uploaded that's very similar is still there. And one Airsoft video is also there, but others are missing. And for some reason, fishing is also removed.
Jace 2, I don't know. It seems like the AI just put a blindfold on and started shooting random videos. It's just about tiny homes. What could be wrong with it? Ah! Someone's face was covered with a blanket. Now the children are gonna suffocate. Gotta remove it. Oh no!
Mr. A Game, a very family-friendly gaming channel, had multiple videos hidden at random, it seems.
Those were all very family-friendly channels. But how is this affecting other channels, kind of like ours, and maybe talk about some strange subjects?
Like Rith and Judge. They were hit extremely hard.
They were nuked from orbit.
Rith has like over 1,500 videos on his channel. A whole catalog of videos over here. As soon as you turn restricted mode, this is as far as you can go.
And Judge, despite being under 18 herself, had a bunch of her videos wiped. However, going back to the inconsistencies in this AI, Glider Guy, another channel that does basically the same thing, still has a ton of videos up. Quite a few are missing, but most are still there.
As for Beto999, his channel's just broken.
Now we've talked about some family-friendly channels and some channels that call out bad actors. But what about the bad actors themselves? Was this whole process worth it just to get rid of those content farms and evil YouTube channels?
Kobe Blocks, a channel that we covered in December of last year, is some kind of degenerate. He's just a weird guy. He does these like, one kill equals one removing of clothing and all kinds of degenerate stuff. His thumbnails are abhorrent and go against YouTube's TOS, and YouTube actually went over to his channel and started age restricting some of his videos.
Turn on age restriction and, oh look, a lot of them are gone, but many of them are still there, including one video that literally has this part in it.
It's my last layer, and it's my shorts.
Your shorts, bro. Hey, yo, let's go!
While about Shappy and Rocky Raccoon, two very hated animators in this community?
Shappy, let's see. His videos. Turn on age restriction. Oh, a lot of them are gone. But wait, the shorts tab. Click on over there and most are still there.
Rocky Raccoon, he's just absolute brain rot and very degenerate. But most of his videos actually remain even if you do turn on restriction mode, and his shorts seem to be not affected almost at all.
Very strange. So it seems that YouTube is not doing a very great job. Or that or the AI perhaps hasn't gotten to shorts yet. Maybe it's just combing through videos first and it'll get to shorts later.
But some of these videos don't have objectional thumbnails exclusively, so let's look at one channel that does have objectional thumbnails. Cougar McDowell, who we've covered before.
Our Cougar McDowell video, which discusses his weird comic dubs and his soft-serve corn thumbnails, was removed. Oh no, this is not good for the kiddies. Let's check out his channel. Well, isn't that just precious?
Barely anything is removed except for maybe this bisexual mystery Saja Boy video, except for that video was clickbait anyway.
Just scrolling, quite a few of these thumbnails are still very objectional, and I guess the AI doesn't know how to look at thumbnails or something, because these are still here.
But maybe this is on a channel by channel basis. What if we go to YouTube search results?
You're right, Keto. Perhaps it just censors out search results and everything and makes that cleaner, but if you go to the channel, maybe it'll be different. Let's see.
How about comic dubs, a notoriously evil search result?
Let's see here. Typing it in. Comic dubs, and this doesn't look too bad. Never mind.
All these terrible videos are still allowed on here. Arguably, it's worse than usual.
Scrolling through these, quite a bit of them are about Gwen from Ben 10. I don't know when she started trending, but there's quite a few, and several of these borderline on cheese pizza. Not good at all. Literal children.
The sidebar suggestion videos aren't looking too good.
What about something else? Why don't we search for anime? If the teens love anime, what happens if they search that?
Horrendous.
Oh my gosh.
Offensive content is clearly still allowed on YouTube, as well as also some of the more disgusting animations.
Movie scenes from R-rated movies still there. Quite a few violent scenes from things like The Predator, which is a garbage movie anyway.
Blazing Saddles, one of the movies of all time. If you look for that movie with restricted mode on, it'll give a bunch of videos that have multiple slurs and stuff in them. However, this particular scene has some questionable words in the first 10 seconds, multiple times.
Qualifications. Murder, arson, and You said twice. I like
Oh, and before I forget, remember all that cheese pizza and horrendous content? Well, all of that is monetized. You'll still get advertisements.
Wonderful! And speaking of advertisements, seems that ads on YouTube have gotten no better. YouTube has constantly had a problem of having furry ads and AI girlfriend and inappropriate games on the websites and ads everywhere. Nobody likes them. On desktop, it's not so bad, whether you turn on restricted mode or not. But on mobile, it's especially heinous.
Here are some examples of some recent offenders we've seen. There's these over here. These are desktop ads, not so good. And then we have mobile, where they're quite a bit more intense, I would say. The fact that these are on YouTube is sad, but the fact that they can be seen in restricted mode really makes you wonder about the purpose of this whole thing.
Arguably the worst part of this whole age-restricted thing is the fact that you can easily bypass it by just logging out.
If the intention is to stop young people on YouTube from commenting and engaging the community and watching live streams, then this works great. It sucks, but it's functional. But if the idea is to stop people of a certain age on YouTube from witnessing certain videos, then it works very, very poorly. Simple. I just log out and then watch whatever I want, or they'll just show up anyway because all the flagging that's going on is completely random and doesn't even work. One solution that doesn't actually work at all is to make people log in to watch YouTube, which they did implement a little bit ago and then stepped back on because it's a dumb idea.
Oh no, my brother-in-law's choking on a chicken bone. How do I do the Heimlich? I'm logged out of YouTube!
In the end, nobody's happy about this, and some are even boycotting YouTube, which I would argue is justifiable.
In the past, you complained about YouTube not doing enough to prevent things like content farms like Gummy Door, who is barely censored, or Slime Cat and all the other kind of channels, but this isn't solving the issue as we've clearly laid out. If anything, it hurts good people more than bad people.
Parents, of course, need to parent, and there's no solution that can totally fix that. But some things shouldn't be allowed on the platform, and some things should be, and this AI does not know the difference.
And as we mentioned earlier, you have to turn in your ID to go prove that you're over 18, which I consider to be an invasion of privacy.
You can also facial scan, but do you really want to dox yourself like that? Google hacks are a thing, and it will inevitably happen again.
It makes you wonder, if you already can tag things 18+, why not just add a 13+ option, or 16+? A food for thought.
But Mio and Keto, if you're not doing anything wrong, why do you care about handing in your ID and using a facial scan?
No way.
That's a dumb argument that is barely worth considering, but have you ever considered that maybe people don't like being constantly spied on by AI and having their information stored, having an AI probe your search results and then blocking certain things that you may want to see, but you can't see anymore without your consent?
Apparently, Big Brother tech is in fact a thing.
And now with that AI spying on you and all those inevitable hacks and everything, today it's 2025, but the next thing you know, it's 1984.
Are you a creator who makes videos, and did most of your videos get blocked, or did any of them get blocked? Let us know in the comments down below. Trying to figure out how wide of a scope this whole thing is having.
And as a viewer, are you age restricted? Is there a way to turn back on comments and things like that that we just don't know about? Let us know.
I'm trying to stay as informed as possible, and if we're completely wrong about this whole thing, we'll gladly take the video down, cut certain parts out. Just let us know in the comments. Yes, you can. But what will we do about it, because our channel has been heavily affected?
There are many alternatives to YouTube, but none of them are quite a good replacement. So we shall continue uploading our content on YouTube, at least for now, and then also on some other platforms. Miyukito TV is already on Odyssey, a YouTube alternative that is actually pretty decent, and Miyukito Tunes and Miyukito Gaming shall be there soon also.
Also look into Patreon, where you can go watch these videos for free, though that might be embedded YouTube player, so that might not work. But as far as live streams go, because you can't watch them if you're restricted, we'll be streaming more on Twitch as well as YouTube at the same time.
In the future, we'll see, maybe to replace the community tab, we'll start uploading on Twitter, and then if we have shorts we need to upload that get blocked, maybe we'll put those on Instagram or Rumble or something. We'll be making update videos as we go along, and possibly shorts if the videos keep getting blocked on restricted mode.
And if you're seeing this video in the form of a short, then I guess you know it got blocked.
We'll keep you updated as things go in the future, and we pray that things go well, but right now it's not looking too good. Hopefully Google will take a few big steps back and make their platform a little bit better.
We can dream, we can hope, we can pray. We'll be uploading a real video, hopefully soon, that will serve as an experiment as to how our audience might have just gotten completely nuked off the website.
And whether or not our ads are severely limited.
So look forward to that. But until then, check out this video over here,
if you can see it, or this video over here.
And all our links to Odyssey and Twitch will be in the description down below.
Until we see you there, in the wise words of our missing videos,
goodbye.
Mascot horror, a video game genre known for including what should be innocent-looking kid-friendly characters, but with something evil looming in the dark crevasses.
In recent years, the genre has skyrocketed in popularity, producing some of the trendiest games of the year, and some of the laziest, most uncreative slop ever made.
Slamat Paggy, Mio here,
and Kido here to tell you that for every massive success like Poppy Playtime, there's a game that nobody asked for and nobody liked.
We have compiled a list of the most beloved and the most hated mascot horror games. And since you likely already know what a mascot horror game is, as we just described it, we will jump right in with...
The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night.
It's only fitting that to start off this video, we first talk about one of the most beloved mascot horror games ever made.
Five Nights at Freddy's needs no introduction, but we're going to introduce it anyway. 10 years ago, game developer Scott Cawthon, after releasing some Christian adventure games, had a bit of a crisis of faith.
After asking God to use him somehow, he came back to games with his faith restored. They released a point-and-click horror game called Five Nights at Freddy's.
But this wasn't just a spooky, check the doors, check the windows, pull the blinds simulator though. It would also be a challenge to those who call themselves gamers, by having nights that ramped up in difficulty as the game progressed.
What? I don't think he's gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it!
FNAF is highly praised for its sound design, which is pretty complex for the time, as well as its lore, which would help carry the series for over a decade. In fact, people have literally made full-on careers about FNAF lore theories, and to this day, we still don't know for sure what the exact timeline is. At this point, it's a meme.
The first game being somewhat accessible to the public, combined with several gaming YouTubers such as Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, and Corey Kenshin playing it, made the game skyrocket in popularity. Plus, the game had recognizable and marketable characters such as Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy that almost anyone in their pet bearded dragon would recognize.
Soon enough, FNAF became a full-on series with over a dozen games, and somehow it's still going. And despite a few bumps in the road, with the new games produced by Steelwool, specifically Security Breach, the FNAF franchise seems to be going quite strong.
But even after 10 years, many fans still have fond memories of the OG FNAF games, with many actually preferring the old games.
So it is undeniable that Five Nights at Freddy's is one of the most beloved in the mascot horror genre. But while FNAF is on the list of everyone's favorite mascot horror games, Hello Neighbor is almost always on the list of everyone's least favorite.
Oh yes, Hello Neighbor, a game that honestly could be a video all on its own. Whenever Hello Neighbor is brought up in conversation, things that come to mind include
the creators desperately tweeting a game theory to look at the lore of the game,
a game that marketed itself as a mascot horror game but has almost no horror elements at all,
a weird and broken buggy game with frustrating puzzles,
and an even weirder, more broken sequel. And quite honestly, that sums up a good chunk of the Hello Neighbor saga.
Dynamic Pixels, which is now called EA Studios after being acquired by Tiny Builds, actually had the first Hello Neighbor in development before even FNAF came out. And after some betas that got mixed to positive reviews, the full game was released in December of 2017.
Now look right there! It mostly has positive reviews on Steam, but it became very obvious that the game was buggy. Super buggy, in fact. Hello Neighbor definitely knew its target audience that it selected, and catered to them very well, but a lot of other people were quite critical of some of the glaring flaws the game had.
Let me just, as an experiment, I'm gonna leave all my no.
But the series would face a great deal of controversy when the second game came out. You see, during the marketing for this game, the devs had been teasing that the neighbor, the antagonist, would feature this super advanced AI that would learn from every person who played the game and would become more and more dangerous and difficult to defeat.
How Mr. Peterson plays in one encounter with you might be different from the next, all due to his encounters with the game's community as a whole. In this way, the community's experience with Mr. Peterson changes over time, allowing for an AI that is developed through community actions, replayability, and great stories of neighborhood shenanigans.
A very ambitious idea that was completely abandoned. Even on pre-order day where you could buy the game for $40, it was in the Steam description that there would be a neural network AI thing, and they actively encouraged everyone to pre-order the game for this reason.
Hello Neighbor is still enjoyed by many fans, but some refuse to play it due to the devs' dishonesty and the fact that it shouldn't even be considered a mascot horror game.
During its lifetime, Hello Neighbor tried to produce as much merch and juice the property as much as possible, and became hated for it. But another game did something similar, yet managed to somehow hold on to a rather presentable public image.
I am having a very bad day. Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
There are 3 games that typically come to mind when mascot horror is brought up. FNAF, Bendy Link Machine, which we'll talk about later, and probably the most new and trendy,
Poppy Playtime!
Despite being under 4 years old, Poppy Playtime has easily become the most popular mascot horror game, and has inspired a slew of other games, including numerous rip-offs that we'll mention later.
Poppy Playtime, or to some, Poppy's Playtime, features many elements that have become mascot horror tropes. He plays an employee who's returning to an abandoned place that at some point had a bunch of children/families in it, and has a very play-care, child-friendly aesthetic that is now turned dark and twisted. The game also has a plethora of chase sequences that force you to run away from the monsters.
The monsters being the creatures Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, Catnap, and others. Because the game is so popular, it not only inspired rip-offs, but also became the target of an innumerable amount of content farms, shippers, and certain types of artists. It's actually insane how many content farm videos there are of a gender-swapped Catnap and Dog Day being lovers.
But that's enough about Poppy Playtime. Let's talk about Poppy Playtime!
What in the world? To simultaneously be one of the most loved and most hated mascot horror games is quite the rare accomplishment, but somehow Mob Entertainment managed to pull it off.
There's a whole iceberg of controversy surrounding the company, and to go into depth on all of them would take much too long. But to briefly mention some that directly relate to Poppy Playtime, the first game was way overpriced at $5, when the whole experience would last maybe 30 minutes. This little move would plant the thought in people's heads that the company was in it only for the money. And then they launched a crap ton of merch shortly after. And then they released NFTs. Oof!
And the NFTs apparently were supposed to contain some lore, but after buying all of them, all you get is some letters. And if you buy all the NFTs, you get the phrase, "Mommy is coming." This obviously teased the next entire list, "Mommy long legs." So it's kind of weird that they're like, "Hey kid, you wanna know some lore?" When in reality, all you need to do is wait for the game to drop and you'll find out who Mommy was.
Mob Entertainment would later say that they didn't know what NFTs really were and some other stuff. But some people still don't trust them due to their other controversies that still don't seem to be resolved.
Mob Entertainment is also still being accused of being money-hungry, greedy governors because of all the merch and possible movie deals, but Mob has done their best to refute these claims. All that being said, one of the most recent bits of drama Mob has been involved in relates to the most recent game, Puppy Playtime Chapter 4.
Prior to the release of Chapter 4, a whole caboodle of employees left the company, including but not limited to the main writer for the games and the Zamination brothers, who were half of the founding members of the company.
Many employees claimed on Glassdoor that Mob had allegedly tried to become more professional and corporate and didn't resemble the indie game company they started out as. Note, all these claims are alleged. I mean, the Glassdoor reviews do exist, so, there's that. We just can't prove that they work there.
Despite this unexpected exodus, Mob Entertainment pushed forward and released Puppy Playtime 4, approximately 1 year after the third game, on January 26th, 2025. And to say the game was broken on release would be a massive understatement. From enemies that had broken AI and could kill you through floors, to enemies that wouldn't spawn at all, the game was barely playable.
There's such a severe lack of proper play testing that they didn't put a door on this one particular area, and if a person went through this door later in the game, it would zap you back in time to when you first visited the area hours ago, losing all of your progress.
Do we need to defeat the prototype?
Oh, it's in different directions.
What's the for you? This one. Can I get the mask again? Wait a second. It's hard to fully explain here, but feel free to check out our video on it. Puppy Playtime Chapter 4 still has a mixed score on Steam, not only due to the bugs, but also because of other complaints as well, like the massive amount of unskippable dialogue and wasted characters. Overall, the worst game of the franchise that let a lot of people down, and definitely ruined the reputation of Mob Entertainment.
There's still a massive debate about whether or not Puppy Playtime is a cash grab, and that's to be expected. But this next game on the list has similar claims made against it, even if such claims were completely unjustified.
To test your sleuthing skills, I'll let you find this one all by yourself.
Okay, don't stand like that. Looked a little too sassy.
One of the most recent contenders for most loved mascot horror game is none other than Indigo Park, made by YouTuber Unique Geese.
Mr. Geese had previously made a game called Reincarnated, which was a remake of another mascot horror game, which we'll talk about later. And Mr. Geese actually made it with no prior game dev experience. Quite impressive.
Now armed with a developer team and utilizing his own funds, Mr. Goose created Indigo Park. The game has you play as a silent, pasty protagonist who arrives at a decrepit old theme park that has some raccoon AI that is 1 part annoying, 3 parts adorable, named Rambly.
The game is pretty basic for the most part, but the fans of the mascot horror genre fell in love with Rambly and also praised the music and the graphics of the game. Hot take, the game is just okay. Rambly definitely hard carried the game, though the music is pretty good and we appreciated the humor and the general aesthetic of the game. Plus, the little game they made within Indigo Park is pretty fun and cool.
But Indigo Park is not very scary at all and doesn't really convince me/us that this is going to be an exceptional series moving forward. For it really to be remembered as one of the best mascot horror games, it needs to have slightly more engaging gameplay and a really strong story.
But the game is still enjoyable, so we can totally see why people like it. And this is just an introduction, so we hope that Part 2 keeps up the good work with Rambly and makes some much needed improvements to the horror side of the game.
It's worth mentioning that this game was involved in some controversy.
Whoa. Whoa!
Though in the end it only ended up making everyone defend the game.
You see, the YouTuber Theft King is known for many controversies that we won't get into now, but this time he decided to make a review of Indigo Park. And fans of the game did not like what he had to say. No.
And while I can't blame them, considering he said some things at the beginning of the video like,
Indigo Park is the least original mascot horror game ever made. Between the tired, cliched premise of returning to an abandoned children's establishment, the enemy designs, the unnervingly cute mascot character, and multiple sequences that appear to be lifted directly from Poppy Playtime,
Theft King does make some valid points that most people would agree with.
Like how the best part of the game is rambly, and how the game more or less relies on him to be anything exceptional. He's not wrong how some parts of the Mario chase are reminiscent of Poppy Playtime, though I'd debate him comparing crawling through vents to the Huggy Wuggy chase. I guess this is a Huggy Wuggy chase too, and this one as well.
And in the end, he even said he liked the game. So I think the main reason people didn't like his review is because a lot of people don't like him for various reasons, and because he said a few incorrect and or dumb things in the video. Like, using the term cash grab in this video doesn't make a lot of sense considering Indigo Park is free!
Theft King would really walk back some of the things he said, despite previously stating he would stand by his review by uploading the video again, but this time adding some things and taking out a few and swapping the intro. Kinda weird. And despite this alleged re-examination of Indigo Park, he apparently still missed the reference to Day Shift at Freddy's and simply said the Easter egg had poor voice acting, which was kind of the point of the Easter egg.
All that said and done, Indigo Park has gone extremely viral, and now it has a fan base and numerous Rule 34 artists eagerly awaiting the sequel. Oh my gosh.
Now, one would argue that Indigo Park is overrated and shouldn't be on this list.
Well, you might be right, but the next game, in a strange twist, is actually overhated.
Yo, enjoying the video so far? Great news. Glad to hear it. Well, if you are, then please consider liking the video, because that helps. Thank you. Carry on.
This is the weirdest, sus thing I've ever seen.
Now you might be thinking,
wait a second, Spunky isn't a mascot horror game.
And to that I say, you should be right, but you aren't. Spunky is very loosely considered a mascot horror game because it features these things that are mascots of the game and features horror elements. So sure, why not? Despite being a music game based on an Incredibox, we shall count it.
Ho ho ho, there's quite the story as to why it's so hated. Observe! Spunky completely blew the frick up when Naiko posted it in 2024, with the little kitties rushing in with reckless abandon to be traumatized by dead Sprunkies. The problem with children making up the majority of a new fan base is that sometimes children harass a creator that they like for more content.
Also, wherever children are present, content farms will appear magically, and Spunky was no exception. Soon there were Spunky songs, animations, sticker books, and mods of Spunky as it became increasingly popular.
During this time, people who hated Spunky with a burning passion started to harass Naoko, who, at the time of this video, is still a minor, and now Naoko was getting doxxed and pestered. It was all too much, so he canceled the sequel to Spunky he'd been planning.
Recently, he's been working on other projects, which is cool, very nice, but just because Nyako is done with Spunky doesn't mean everyone else is. If you want some more info on Spunky, feel free to watch our video on it. But in conclusion, Spunky gets a lot of undeserved hate from the internet. That's not to say that we like the content based on Spunky, but Spunky itself is quite harmless.
And like we said earlier, Spunky Prob shouldn't even be called a mascot horror game, in all honesty. But the next game on this list is considered one of the top 3 mascot horror games ever created.
Let's go!
Even though Bendy and the Ink Machine might not be the first 3D mascot horror game, it is certainly the most popular at the time of its release in 2017 by Joey Drew Studios.
The game has you play as retired animator Henry Stein, as he returns to his old studio after being invited by an old friend, only to discover that the studio has gone to absolute blue blazes because of a machine that brings cartoon characters to life. I'm sure there's much more to the story, but like a lot of these games, we've never played it.
There's a mix of combat mechanics and puzzles, in this game, and it was released in chapters before that was the cool thing to do. And while people were cool with the general gameplay, what people really loved about Bendy and the Ink Machine was this art style. With its 1920s/30s cartoon vibe, it stood out not only 8 years ago, but also today amongst the mascot horror slop.
Bendy is considered one of the OG mascot horror games, since it really took the idea of a 3D mascot horror game and ramped it up to the next level.
Joey Drew Studios finally released the second game in the series 5 years later, and this game was also well liked, so I guess clearly something is working.
It's worth mentioning that Bendy is often compared to Poppy Playtime, with some claiming that Poppy Playtime is extremely Bendy inspired. But this next game is clearly a ripoff of Poppy, which I guess makes it But this next game is clearly a ripoff of Poppy Playtime, which I guess makes it a ripoff of a ripoff?
Wait.
When games like Poppy Playtime and Rainbow Friends hit the web like a 10-ton semi-truck, it created a large splash and inspired a lot of game devs to try to cash in on this rather profitable mascot horror genre.
One of the most well-known attempts at this was created by the game dev team, Euphoric Brothers. Now, we don't know that this game is a ripoff of Poppy, for sure, but it definitely seems like it is.
The first entry in the series was released in January 2023, was met by a lot of hysterical laughter. The game was shoddy, and the designs for the little clay-looking drawings on the wall are literally what the characters look like, so you know, not super scary. Reportedly, during the promotion of this game on Twitter, the Frog Brothers hid negative replies criticizing the crappy-looking horror game.
Let's Players obviously played the game, as they will play just about anything, and memes spread around the internet making fun of Garden of Banban. Many believe the game to be satire, and the Euphoric Brothers started unhiding the negative comments to perhaps lean in this new direction.
Unfortunately, the sequel, which was pumped out just 2 months later, was not better. Maybe worse, because it was longer with more filler fetch quests. The voice acting was bad, and the character designs were still bad, and the game was just lazy and boring. They fixed absolutely nothing, possibly made things worse. Me started to realize that this was not satire, it was just bad awful. As a recent positive review stated,
"This was the biggest pile of I've ever played. To make things worse, I think the first game was free. So who could complain about a game that only took a few minutes to beat? It was free, man. The sequel wasn't even a 2-hour game. It had the price tag of $6. You could buy 2 Mickey D chicken nuggets in California with that money. And the game was bad. The gameplay refund limit on Steam is 2 hours. So you better believe those gamers were refunding that crap.
Even some rather popular creators in the space refunded the game, and the Euphoric Brothers decided to be mature individuals and take the creative criticism too hard.
Out the cap.
Nah, fam. They fished and moaned on Twitter and tried to call out the creators refunding the game, only to get absolutely ratioed in the comments.
Astral Smith destroyed them with literal facts and logic, and the Pop Goes dev tried to weigh in with a bit of nuance and to come at it from the perspective of the Banban devs, but then they blocked him.
That is pretty much the start of the hatred of the Banban franchise, and to cover everything, it needed a whole dedicated video. The games continued to get even worse, and they added more filler to try to push the game past the 2-hour refund limit. It was not good. The game series still has some fans, mostly children or people who just want to watch it like a train crash. Apparently, they're actually starting to lead into the whole satire angle, so some people think it's good now. I don't know, but when we asked our audience what their least favorite mascot horror game was, a lot of answers were Garden of Banban.
But while Garden of Banban is a great example of how to make a generic mascot horror game trash, the next game on this list puts quite an interesting twist on the game genre.
Who does the package need to go to?
Sometimes to have a successful mascot horror game, all you need is a really good gimmick and some well-placed nostalgia. FNAF is of course a perfect example of this, but another good example is the 2023 mascot horror game, Amanda the Adventurer.
In this game we play as Riley, who has gotten a letter from her Aunt Kate. It seems that her aunt was investigating some missing children incidents surrounding the show Amanda the Adventurer, a controversial children's show that features a young girl and her sheep partner.
As Riley, we go into her aunt's attic and start playing tapes of the show, and somehow the characters in the tape are able to be interacted with. As we solve more puzzles and find more and more disturbing tapes, a dark story begins to emerge.
The game is basically a horror version of Dora the Explorer, mucho gusto, but the puzzles are quite inventive for the most part. To solve some puzzles, you need to pause the tape at a certain time. If you answer Amanda a certain way, she'll freak out and maybe kill you, and sometimes there are puzzles that are way too complicated for their own good.
The game was a massive hit, to say the least, especially with Let's Players, and unfortunately some animation channels, and quickly became the next big thing. People appreciated its uniqueness and left me positive reviews on Steam. The development team Mangled Ma, my bad, would release the second game a little over a year later. Even though it wasn't received quite as positively, it helped keep Amanda in the front of people's minds. Plus the games are fairly inexpensive at only $10. What a deal!
Recently, Mangled Ma released a game demo for Amanda the Adventurer 3, and it has people quite excited. Hopefully that's $10 too! But what's definitely not worth the price is the next game on this list.
Welcome to Joyville, a paradise for children, where everyone finds something to their liking.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
Oh, Joyville. Joyville. Some might not have watched our video on the Russian Puppy Playtime ripoff made by Cud Plays, but it's just a shameless cash grab that has lame puzzles and shoddy gameplay for about 30 minutes. It doesn't even try to hide the fact that it's a ripoff. Instead of Huggy Wuggy, we have Woolly Bully. I can't even.
It has some lore, I guess, but the first game is like, oh, children disappear, there's some tape recordings of Wooly absolutely bullying this man. But it doesn't affect the gameplay at all. The first game also ends in an elevator crash. How original. All that said, the game is fairly inoffensive and isn't really worth talking about.
Here's what we would say if it was free, but the first Joyville game cost $10!
Ah! That scared the accent right out of me.
People thought the first Puppy Playtime... Ah! People thought the first Poppy Playtime game was overpriced, and it was, but even on sale, Joyville is way too expensive.
Shortly after the first game escaped containment, Cudplay released Joyville 2. The sequel is a lot better than the first game, and at least tries to add enough gameplay to warrant the price. But saying that it's better than the first one means absolutely nothing.
It did at least have some fun moments, I guess. The second game also has some more lore, which is actually kind of unique and surprisingly dark. But if you want to know what happens in that game, you'll have to watch our video, haha. But seriously, do not waste your time with this game.
Whatever. I may go so far as to say that Joyville, the first one, is possibly the worst game we've ever played. Which isn't saying too much, but gosh dang. That completes our list of the most loved and most hated mascot horror games. Or does it?
We actually have a few other games we could mention, but this video was too long as it was, so if you want a part 2, let us know in the comments.
Go ahead and comment your favorite mascot horror games if they're not already mentioned in this video,
as well as your least favorite.
And if you do like mascot horror games, or games in general, or watching gameplay videos, or watching our videos on video games, consider subscribing to our new channel, Miyokito Gaming.
We'll be doing a variety of content, but if you have any suggestions for what we should do on that channel, feel free to go put some comments on that video over there.
We got a pretty cool Secret of the Mimic video out there. Yep, you better go check it out. Yep.
But before you leave, a quick shout out to our members.
Look at these wonderful human beings. I think they're all human beings.
And a big thanks to William YT for being a massive fan.
They're all really cool people, and you can be a cool person too for as low as 99 cents.
You get access to exclusive posts and videos, including the one that we'll be releasing in the next 2-3 days.
It'll all be pretty cool, but you can check out this video over here.
Or this video over here. Until we see you there in the wise words of the star.
Wow, that's crazy!
When most people think of Disney, they imagine a sense of wonder, magic, and fairy tales that end happily ever after. But if you're like me, you think of a company that's creatively bankrupt and growing far too powerful. What most people don't think of is action-adventure TV shows largely produced in different parts of the world and influenced by Asian culture. That's why they grouped this programming under the banner of Jetix. I vividly remember watching Jetix growing up, and to the extent of my knowledge, it was a semi-popular block that aired on Toon Disney and ABC Family. However, after weeks of research and months of putting this project together, I discovered that it was much, much more than that. Allow me to take you back to the 2000s during the prime of Jetix, and let's pretend like this is the first time I've made the video equivalent of a nostalgia trip. So without further ado, let's visit the world of JR. Shit, wrong sound effect. The world of Jetix. The story of Jetix is one that begins with some confusing corporate BS. From the late 90s into the early 2000s, shows influenced by and imported from East Asia were among the most popular programming available to kids of the time. It was different, which is why I guess it was the cool thing to watch. When properties like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Dragon Ball were absolutely defining the zeitgeist, it only made sense that other companies would want their own slice of the pie. It was also during this time that the House of Mouse, aka the Walt Disney Company, was on the tail end of its renaissance and booming from the expansion of their film and TV operations. Not to be confused with their relatively recent acquisition of 21st Century Fox, Disney purchased Fox Family worldwide in October of 2001 for $5.3 billion. This sale included things like the Fox Family Channel, which Disney rebranded into ABC Family, control of the international Fox Kids channels, and the incredibly lucrative Saban Entertainment Library, which had 6,500 episodes of kids programming and the rights to franchises like Power Rangers. Also included was majority ownership of Fox Kids Europe, which was independently based in the Netherlands and managed Fox Kids channel feeds across Europe and the Middle East. What remained of the Fox Kids block in America was later taken over by Fox Kids Entertainment as Foxbox and 4Kids TV. With a newly acquired bundle of broadcast rights and a library of shows, Disney created a brand new action block for ABC Family as a place to put that stuff, but it lacked any sort of unique presentation or identity. Internationally, the Fox Kids brand continued to stay intact for a few years, except it had to change because it was no longer affiliated with Fox. So, in January 2004, the ABC Cable Networks Group, Fox Kids Europe, and Fox Kids Latin America teamed up Avengers style to create Jetix. While Toon Disney was often looked at as an answer to Cartoon Network, some considered this move to be an answer to Toonami. According to the initial press release, the unique name Jetix was developed with the goal of finding a word that implied action and adventure and yet could be used in a number of international markets without being a proper name for something else.
Jetix. Jetix.
Everything checks out. Jetix first launched as a block in the United States on February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2004. At the beginning, you could find it on ABC Family every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern and on Toon Disney during prime time from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern every night except Fridays. The original lineup consisted of shows like The Legend of Tarzan, Power Rangers Dino Thunder, Digimon, and Beyblade V-Force. As a way to embrace new media trends and rake in some fresh viewership, the Jetix Cards live game was rolled out simultaneously with the block's launch. Touted as the world's first trading card game that is played concurrently on TV and online, Jetix Cards Live enlisted viewers to register on the Jetix website where they could receive virtual cards themed after characters and elements from the block's programming. A battle card would be revealed during weekend nights, so after watching you'd hop online and select cards from your deck to play. The users with the highest scores each round would have their names show up on Jetix every week. With the popularity of trading card games like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, this seemed like a cool way to introduce new viewers, but it also sounds like something I've seen before. The look of Jetix was anchored in a blue-tinted CGI environment commonly referred to as the world of Jetix. This world was shown at times to have a bunch of different set pieces, but most promos and bumpers took place in a city with wonky skyscrapers and twisted roads. This branding was led by a morphing metallic mascot named Jay, who was commonly known by viewers as the Jetix Cat or the one-eyed pointy metal thing. Maybe it's because both were shape-shifting CGI silver objects, but in my youthful mind, I used to always confuse Jay from Jetix with Flood from Super Mario Sunshine. Not sure if I still get the comparison. Jay would transform into a wide variety of entities, like a rocket ship, a dinosaur, and even a water-pumping device. Although the Jetix visual design was fairly simple, I think it did a good job of accomplishing what it set out to do. It gave viewers a taste of the fast-paced, high-energy programming that the brand would be eventually known for. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the programming you could find on Jetix in the United States. For the sake of time in this already long video, I'll be focusing on its more recognizable shows, and don't worry international viewers, we'll get to you soon. You'll find that plenty of Jetix's shows were imported from Europe, like Oban Star Racers, Wix, and Adam, with a pretty good reason. And no, it's not because they had a preference for shows with an acronym as their title. For the most part, European cartoons from studios like Moonscoop and SIP Animation were a bargain because they could produce episodes for half the cost of American cartoons, and it was way cheaper than sending everything overseas. Across that sea. While Jetix had a well-established relationship with Europe, these shows were crafted with American audiences in mind, to not only get the attention of American audiences, but to also market them internationally like shows that are produced in America. And the cherry on top is merchandising. The bulk of these shows, which were related to action or adventure, lent themselves well to products like comics, clothing, accessories, action figures, video games, DVDs, and so on. Not to mention, some of the series that were developed for Jetix were derived from existing retail commodities. For instance, Witch was based on a comic series of the same name, and Puka was originally a design from an online greetings card in South Korea. This video would be incomplete if I didn't talk more about the uber-successful behemoth of Power Rangers. Power Rangers Dino Thunder premiered on the day Jetix launched, which I remember watching, and somehow its dinosaur-human hybrid villain didn't give me nightmares. Spanning multiple new iterations and rerunning older ones under the name Power Rangers Generations, the mega franchise called Jetix home for half a decade and was clearly a big draw for people to tune into the block. The Digimon brand was also a staple of Jetix, again specific to the United States. In addition to airing the original Digimon series, Jetix was the only place you could catch Digimon Data Squad, which with its toys and video games made it another hot property. I'm sure it was a great show to watch, but personally I never watched Digimon because I always assumed it was a lazy ripoff of Pokemon. Under the name Jetix Animation Concepts, there were some shows produced by Jetix and Disney specifically for the brand. The first of the bunch, Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, has strong Japanese influence, Corey Feldman voicing one of the robot monkeys, and a title I have trouble reciting. Then there was Get Ed, a CGI action series about a crime-fighting, genetically modified teen named Ed, who was riding a hoverboard 10 years before they became cool. And last, but not least, Yin Yang Yo, which also has strong Asian influence and a difficult name to pronounce. Having shows heavily inspired by Asian culture, as well as shows like Daigunder and Battle Beatamon directly from the region, it was unique to see Jetix breaking boundaries with initiatives like the Made in Japanathon, which offered a glimpse into Japanese life and values for American viewers. It may have been a continuation of a marathon concept from Fox Family, and it may have been a gimmick to promote a new Power Rangers episode featuring their Super Sentai counterparts, but it's the thought that counts. Jetix also had tons of content that once aired on places like Kids WB and UPN, in addition to their catalog from Disney Channel, ABC, and Fox Kids. Watching Jackie Chan Adventures alongside Gargoyles and Kong the Animated Series was always a special viewing experience. As a part of their robust action catalog, the block had a fair amount of superhero programming, largely made up of Marvel cartoons from the 90s. And the range of shows on Jetix from 80s cartoons like Dungeons & Dragons to something like Dragon Booster in what was then the present made it stand out amongst its competitors. With a mix of cheaply licensed, decades-old, and a few new shows, some of which got overambitious with their use of CGI technology, Jetix wasn't always a consistent source of high-quality programming. In other words, sometimes I'd deliberately watch a different channel, but I knew I always had Jetix to fall back on if nothing else was on. Now it's time to put a spotlight on the rest of the globe. It wasn't until I started researching for this video that I discovered how large the worldwide presence of Jetix really was. While it was just a block in the United States, Jetix took the form of an entire channel across many parts of Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, and Latin America. Shortly after Jetix launched in 2004 and into 2005, channels fully occupied by Fox Kids were rebranded as Jetix. In regions such as Canada, Australia, and most of Asia where Fox Kids channels didn't exist, Jetix again took the form of a block. At one point in time, Jetix reached 289 million households in over 80 countries and 25 languages, so the United States was just a small fraction of the overall audience. Through Jetix's International Programming Alliance, most of their original programming, stuff like Puka and Get Ed, was also broadcast on their global affiliates, but there were some evident differences in their selection of licensed shows. The UK version of Jetix had Totally Spies and Total Drama Island, which I grew up watching on Cartoon Network. In some regions, Jetix aired Pokemon, largely during the Diamond and Pearl era, and Sonic X. In at least Brazil, they showed The Fairly Odd Parents. And also, Jetix feeds throughout Eastern Europe had Lazy Town. That Lazy Town. Besides promotional materials, there wasn't a lot of original content catered particularly for international audiences, but I was able to find a show called PXG from Jetix in the UK. PXG covered things like gaming news, reviews, and cheats with a charming internet-inspired digital aesthetic.
Konnichiwa, Jetix gamers! I am Kentaro, from the land of the rising sun, and this is PXG!
Because of the fact that Jetix was at one point in time the #1 kids channel in Europe and the Middle East, it made sense for the brand to expand into new domains. And by new domains, I mean rebranding more existing channels. In the early 2000s, Fox Kids Europe had launched alternate channels called Fox Kids Play that were aimed at younger audiences. And as Jetix took over the primary Fox Kids channels, these were naturally rebranded into Jetix Play. In skewing towards a young audience, Jetix Play seemed to mostly broadcast light-hearted classic shows in the realm of fantasy and comedy. Although a good chunk of its programming was made up of things from the Saban Library and Geek Entertainment, it had a few shows in common with regular Jetix. As if all of this extra stuff wasn't already enough, wait till you see the Jetix merch they had in Europe. In the United States, at least, it was virtually impossible to find any merchandise that was specifically Jetix-themed. The only piece of Jetix merch I could get my hands on was this promotional sampler DVD that came with the October 2006 issue of Sports Illustrated Kids. It's pretty cool for something that comes with a magazine. There's a full episode of Yin Yang Yo, clips and promos from other shows, and Jetix bumpers in between each segment. But Europe had everything, and it wasn't difficult at all to find products representing this brand across the pond. First off, remember when print media was a thing? There were 10 versions of a monthly Jetix magazine running throughout Europe. While it primarily focused on covering the Jetix brand, it was an overall lifestyle magazine for kids, so it had things like competitions, comics, posters, and interactive DVDs. A series of compilation albums called Jetix Hits were released. Again, speaking as an American living in the 2020s, I have no idea who most of the artists on these CDs are, but there's a few I could recognize, like Kelly Clarkson. There was a game for the PS2 and Nintendo DS called Jetix Puzzle Buzzle. Apparently, it's just a poorly reskinned version of an existing game called Eggmania Extreme Madness.